this lesson, I'm going to call it IN2 Inequalities. This one is dealing with inequalities and graphing. So what we're going to have to do is go from the study guide sheet to a whiteboard, and I want you to write this down so that you have it in your notes. We're going to introduce inequalities and solving them in just a little bit, but to begin with, I want to explain what inequalities look like and what their graphs look like. So when I say inequality, it means there's not an equation. It means that it's going to have less than, it's going to have greater than, which I know that you have seen before. There are two others that we're going to use. This one is, it's a less than symbol, and then there's a bar below it, which means it's kind of a combination of less than or equal to. And that's how you would read that, less than or equal to. Meaning that it could be both. Just like this one is greater than or equal to. And just to kind of give you an idea of why they have those, let me kind of give you an example about it. So I'm going to talk about less than or equal to just really quick. My example would deal with this. Let's say you save up money all year long to buy Christmas presents. You save up money all year long to buy Christmas presents. Now, let's say you have saved up, what would be a reasonable amount? $50. $50 you saved up all year long to buy Christmas presents for your family and probably your favorite math teacher. So one day you go shopping, like on Black Friday, and you buy every person on your list. You could spend as much as how much? Trevor?
10.
No, we said you saved up how much? 50. Right? So if you spent exactly 50, that'd be okay, wouldn't it? Isn't that what you saved up to spend on your Christmas presents?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you came away with spending just 40, would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because with the money left over, you could buy something for yourself.
Wait.
So you would be okay with less than or equal to that amount of money. Okay? That's why they have created less than or equal to. Greater than or equal to, same kind of reasoning. You have to have at least this much. You could have more, but you have to have a minimum. So those are a combination of the less than and greater than and the or equal to. Yes?
So it's like you have, let's go with $70, but you only need 50.
Right.
$20.
You could say you have 70, but you would be happy if you spent less. So 70 would be the maximum that you had and could spend if you had to, but if you spent less, you'd be okay with that too. All right, now here's what I want you to do when you write these. I'm going to take those away. We're going to talk about graphing and what the graphing rules are for inequalities. Graphing rules. If you have less than or greater than, less than or greater than, it doesn't include that number. If that's the case, I'm going to say you have to start with an open circle. If you have less than or greater than, you have to start with an open circle. That number is not included, it's just a boundary. If you have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, well, since it could be or equal to, it could be included with that number. So you do a closed circle. Make sure you're writing these down because you're going to need these rules. So that's one thing. When you're graphing on a number line, you have to look and see what kind of circle you put on that number. Then, because it could be anything less than a number or anything greater than a number, you shade in the whole number line in that direction. So in that case, if it's less than or equal to, you shade left. Do you see where these things are pointing? You see that point that I just drew the arrow to? Isn't that pointing to the left? The tip or the point is to the left, so that's the way that you shade it. It's less than, pointing to the left, so you shade left. If it tells you that it's greater than or equal to, which way is it pointing? Which way are those pointing?
Right.
The right, so you would shade right. Okay, now one really important graphing rule that we're going to write at the bottom, so I'm going to put an asterisk. In order for this to be true, as far as which way to shade, variable must be on the left. Variable must be on the left. All right, so now we're going to go and look at some examples. This lesson, like I said, it's called Indiana 2, and it's called Inequalities. That's what you'll find when you go on your Google Drive. It's everything about inequalities, and it says an inequality is a mathematical sentence that contains less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. So we're going to look at the first 4 examples down here, and we're going to graph them. So it says graph each inequality on the number line, and this is what I was referring to with those rules. Number 1, you see how C comes first? C is on the left of the symbol.
Yeah.
It says C is less than 5. Okay, look at your rules. If C is less than, does less than get the open or the closed circle? What's it say if it's less than? Open. So you go to 5 and you would put an open circle. Since C is less than 5, 5's not included. It's everything below 5, but 5 isn't included. Now if you put these on your paper, this is what I want you to do. Mine have all the numbers, but if I didn't have one already drawn, this is what I want you to do, especially for your notes. You're just going to put one number on it. That's kind of a shortcut that we're using so that you don't have to sit there and write every little mark right now because we don't have time. So you would put an open circle. Now, it says C is less than 5. If it's less than, which way do you shade? What's the rule say? If it's less than, which way do you shade, Irene?
If it's less than, you shade left.
To the left. So you would fill in this line, and then you have to also shade in the arrow. So you have an C less than 5. C less than 5 is an open circle on 5, shaded to the left. So you guys would do the same thing on your paper. Put C less than 5. You'll just do an open circle and then make this darker, and you include the arrow. Number 2, y is greater than negative 5. Y is greater than negative 5. Is greater than an open or closed?
Open.
Open. So on negative 5, you would have it open. Because since it's greater than negative 5, it is not included. For greater than, does it say we're going to shade left or right? Right, because greater than, where are all the greater the numbers? To the right. Plus, it is pointing to the right. So open circle on -5, shaded right. Number 3, x is greater than or equal to 10. What kind of circle does greater than or equal to have, Trevor? Close. So on 10, you're going to fill it in. It says it's greater than or it could be equal to 10. So you fill it in to show that 10 could be a possible solution. When it's greater than or equal to, you fill it in because it's a possible solution. Now, since it's greater than or equal to, where is that pointing to? Left or right?
Left.
The tip is right here where I'm pointing on the screen. Left or right?
Right.
So you shade to the right. Number 4, n is less than or equal to -1. What kind of circle is less than or equal to, Brandon? Closed circle on -1. Which way is it pointing, or where do you go with less than?
Left.
To the left, and make sure you fill in the arrow. Okay, so we've done one of each kind, so you will have some problems where you are just graphing. You're just graphing the lines. Are there any questions about graphing?